What's going on, everybody? James Banks here, and I'm back with another video. I know it's been a while since I've come with a new bit of content for the Skin Club community, but we had the major. I've been moving my office around, moving things in my house. We had a lot of changes going on. It is the player break. We've got Rostermania going down, so many changes. And one thing I wanted to look at is something that all in-game leaders, coaches, organizations are looking at. How do we beat Vitality? Can anyone beat Vitality? Let's just have a little overview of this. Vitality did what no other team has ever done. They went for 7 trophies back to back. They won the Grand Slam, getting an extra $1 million. They won the Major as well. They won basically every event they entered, all of 2025, except for the Blast Bounty Season 1, which was where Rops had just joined. And then after that, they went on an absolute tear. This team looks like the dream team golden lineup. We talk about the win streak. Remember, it got ended in terms of a best of 1. I don't think that counts personally. I know some people disagree with that, but this whole thing of best of 1s, they are still winning in every best of 3 they have played. They have not lost a best of 3. They have dominated. They have shown that they can come back into games even after losing maps in a horrendous fashion. Their map pool is incredibly strong. Their belief and trust in each other is all there. By now, you guys know all the good things we can talk about Vitality. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking you guys through a few little things here. And we'll start by just giving you the overview of Vitality right now. Vitality, Apex, transitioned into not only the top in-game leader, but one of probably the top 3 in-game leaders of all time. You're obviously going to put Glaive, Karrigan, and Apex there, but do we now start to put Apex ahead of Karrigan, even though he's been in IGL for less time because of the fact he's got another major as an IGL? He's done it with multiple lineups. Some of the key things we talk about when we talk about Karrigan. Then we'll come on to ZywOo, currently the greatest player of all time. I'm a big stand for Simple and saying how amazing Simple is. He was the GOAT of CSGO. And yes, he took a break, but that was his choice. Right now, ZywOo has passed him. Yeah, he's passed him in so many different ways. More MVPs, more majors, more trophies, more success coming his way. The other thing, actually, I didn't mention about Apex is Apex is the player with the most tier 1 big event trophies completed. He's overtaken Dupree now. He only needs to now overtake Dupree in terms of majors to beat him in that aspect as well. Rops, 2nd major under his belt. The impact that this one player has had on a team is crazy. I've never seen anything like it. This to me is like he kind of rejuvenated himself coming to the team. He'd spent most of his career on Mouse, then into FaZe, staying with Karrigan, being a long time on one team. This change up and what he did in terms of showing the rest of the players on Vitality how hard he was going to work and all the new things he likes to bring to the game, it elevated every player. One of the players that benefited the most from that is Mezzy. So let's just talk about Mezzy next, because for me, Mezzy right now, it is without a doubt of all time in the UK, he is the best player, not just of Counter-Strike Go or CS2. It's of all versions of Counter-Strike, and you cannot debate this anymore. I will at some point do a video or an article of this, comparing him to some of the legends of 1.6 and CS Source, but not a single player in the UK now comes close to him with this resume, this trophies, these records. And Flamesy also getting his first major trophy. Flamesy is a player who will do the dirty work, is very gifted, works incredibly hard, constantly playing FPL, is such a positive personality for the team as well. And this is what I want to come on to here is I'm just going to go down it. Where do I go? Here we go. Achievements, land. Look at this. Look at this. So we start here. This is 2025. The only one before that I did mention earlier was the Blast Bounty. Where did they come on Blast Bounty, actually? Let's take a look. I'm going to look this up for you guys quickly. Sorry, I should have known this, but we'll do a quick detour on my conversation. So Blast Bounty, 5th to 8th. Not bad. They still made it to the playoff stages at the finals, but they weren't ready for that overall. And then after that, they win Katowice, Pro League, Lisbon, Melbourne, Rivals, Dallas, and the Major. And I'm now going to look at, well, what teams, and as many teams making changes, are going to be able to try and beat them. He's going to be able to take a trophy. He's going to be able to stop this dominance because honestly, right now, it looks like Vitality will continue this, and maybe the only people they could lose to is themselves because teams are making changes to try and beat them. Some teams are sticking it together and keeping the same lineup, thinking, oh, we're close. We can battle them out in this. I'm going to just tell you this. It is the 12th of July, 2025 when I'm filming this. So you've got that information because maybe some roster move comes out afterwards that I don't cover in this. But let's look at Falcons. Falcons have made another change. Munacy came in before, right, for Dexter. And now Magisk has gone. Tessa's the one that got to stay. We spoke about that many times in many different ways. And Kioski, however you want to call him, he comes in to his first tier 1 team, and it's going to be Falcons. And you know what? Spirit wanted him. This is confirmed. I heard this myself. The Spirit players want him on the team. Kiosuke said, you know what? I want to play with Munacy and Nico. You want to go over here. You've got Zonic as your coach as well. Obviously, probably a big factor is he would have to give up a lot of good roles and positions. And that's one thing here. Let's just look down the results Falcons had against Vitality in 2025. Not so many times they played against each other, but this was probably, to me, the best team of being able to challenge Vitality. So what we saw here was, initially, they played in Melbourne. It was the first event with Munacy, 2-0. I think it was quite competitive, if I'm right. Yeah, look, an overtime in Mirage. Okay, Inferno at the time was godly for Vitality. Then they meet again in the grand finals. And if anyone remembers this grand final, it was incredible. This was something where, look, it went to nuke. We saw this, what was it, the epic comeback towards the end? Yeah, look, so you're down 12-6. You take it to overtime. Like, that easily could have been a Falcons taking this. And this is a new Falcons that came together. So there's a lot to look at it in that. Then again, they play at the very next event, finals again, ends once again on nuke. Not so much craziness in here. Falcons start off with a good win. Getting Inferno against Vitality at that point as well should have put Falcons in like a great mental spot. So now what we've got to look at here is Falcons having Kioski. This has got to be their golden player to make this happen. Now, one thing, there's a lot of positional crossover. There's a lot of interesting points we're going to learn of how Falcons want to use him. Now, if I'm Falcons personally, if I'm Zonic, if I'm Kicksan and Nico, and we're all talking this together, I mentioned Nico because obviously he's such a big voice in the team, I'll be saying, give him the roles he wants. Give him the positions to feel comfortable, and the rest of us need to sacrifice. Nico is more than capable of doing that. And I feel like you want to put him in the best position possible to succeed. There's a reason they got him. Do you really want to force him into other roles? And if we know he didn't want to join Spirit because of not wanting to be in these roles, this would all make sense. Problem is, this is still his first ever tier 1 team. We know how good he can be. We've seen the Face It games. We've seen him play on Spirit Academy, you know. We've seen him be able to have these amazing highlights, and we get very excited about him. But it's very different when you jump up to tier 1 and what's being done here and what you can get away with. And especially, first event's going to be Cologne. Like, that's not an easy one to come in. There's a lot of pressure going to be on his shoulders there. And they're going not even into a warm-up. Don't play the play-in stage. They're going straight into the second stage after that, with all the big teams as well. So it will give him a bit more time to practice with him. But there's a lot to look at here. And I'll give you my take on this. This might be a Falcons that can beat Vitality, say in 3 months or 4 months. But I don't think like this roster move right now is going to be the thing that changes it. And we see, yes, they've got him. Kiosuke's going to be the one that changes everything, and he's going to make them be able to win, because some players take time to adapt to tier 1, but also this team is in a bit of a spiral with what happened at the major. So it's all going to be about how they use him. It's all going to be about where their mental's at. And I think it's not going to be as a quicker, dominant performance coming out from Falcons as people expect. Next team we have to look at, so there's our Falcons results. Mouse. By the looks of it, from what we understand, there's no changes coming in from Mouse, but this is the same Mouse that made a change after one event at the beginning of the year, and they removed Shuhei, they brought Spinks in, Roland went to IGL. Now, this is a good team, and they've played so much against Vitality. A lot of the times, though, even in grand finals, look here, EPL grand finals, Vitality were absolutely dominating them. 39, 13-4, 13-5. And what I would say, oh no, what did I break? What happened? What did I do? Oh no, I ruined it. Let me do it here. Don't worry, we can quickly fix this. This is all about just how much they've played. This is the filters I'm using so you can see how I do it all. So, they got dominated in their first grand finals against them. They play again at Lisbon, get 2-0 in the group stage, roll it back all the way to the grand final, play in the grand final, and have a much better game. Now, I'm not going to say they had a chance to beat Vitality because look how it went when we get to Nuke and train afterwards. It felt like they were out of steam. I remember doing the loser interview with Brolan and him feeling very sad about what he was able to do, especially on the T side of train. Like he said, his calling wasn't good and he wasn't quite there mentally. But like they got 13-0 and still came back to win 2 maps, a Mirage and a Dust 2 against Vitality. This is a positive sign. Now then what confuses me is we see here, they play at Blast Rivals, 2-1, fair enough. Then we come on to grand finals of Dallas. I'm expecting them to put up a fight. But no, look what happens. Vitality go back to dominant mode. Vitality get themselves another trophy and another win. And then at the major, now I'm not going to say there wasn't chances here. I think on Mirage, it was a bit closer than what 13-8 scoreline would say. But overall, Vitality just kept having their number. This is the 7th time they beat them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 7 times. It didn't, and this is where Mals aren't changing anything. They're sticking with their players. Maybe something changes, like positionally or the way they approach the game or the way their playbook comes out. We'll have to wait and see when we come into the first events of the year. But even then, I don't see this Mals currently with themselves being in a position to match anywhere with what Vitality have. So Falcons still, in the future, as I said, have more of a chance than what Mals have because we saw like Torsey had a massive drop-off throughout the Austin Major. There was certainly belief that they could do better than what they did. They struggled, and now they're not making any changes. Maybe they need a break. Maybe they need some time to get refreshed. But if this is your second biggest challenge, as in Vitality's next biggest challenger for me after Falcons is Mals, then they're not making any changes. It's going to have to be a playbook thing. The next team I want to look at, Spirit. Now, Spirit, because they have Donk, because they have Shiro, you're always going to give them a lot of respect. Some people thought that Chopper was going to be the player that was changed. I never thought and I never heard about that. I think Hallie and Chopper obviously have a belief in the system and the way they want to work. Magix is a player so many people want to see removed. It's finally happened, and Zway's come in. Now, position-wise and the way he plays, Zway's going to fit perfectly. Also, I don't know how many people know this, but when I've spoken to Zway and done some interviews with him, he's kind of got I'd say a small bit of like Donk style in like, I don't care. I'm playing my game. I don't care who I'm playing against. I'm just going to donk. Like, I think mentally these two teams players are going to work very well. And I do feel like Zway is an upgrade. Now, some people have been looking at the numbers and saying, well, Zway is not that much different to Magix. Like, he's not going to be putting up more incredible numbers. Within this system, Zway can probably shine more than what Magix was able just because of his mechanical skills and his ability overall as a player. And I feel like he's going to learn so much here that will level him up. He will have more support than what he had in Amiga here as well. And he's a young player, again, that can be molded. Think of how young, so Zontix is 19, Donk's 18, right? And Zway is 17. This is such a young, future-proof team. Shiro's still only 23. Chopper, 28. Completely fine for an IGL. Like, this team can grow and rock it. But again, let's look at some of Spirit's results. They didn't play Vitality that much, right? They had the finals where they got absolutely dominated and they were not happy. Then they had it at Open Lisbon, 2-1. It's okay. It's not bad. The Nuke win's impressive, but that's about it. Oh, he's done it again. But overall, we don't need to see the results for that. We'll go back to the Spirit overview. The point here for me is that this move might have a better chance of quickly working compared to the Falcons one. So where I said the Falcons one might take a few months, I think with Spirit and the way they play, you give this maybe a month or so, and if Zwei can perform against tier 1 teams, this could be a more potential challenger against Vitality. So this is where I might surprise some of you guys. I would possibly say that Vitality's #1 challenger for the early part of the season could be Spirit, then Falcons, then Mouse. And now some people will say, let's have a look down the world rankings right now. Let's do the Valve rankings as well, just to make sure we're all doing things correctly. Other teams you can look at here, Aurora. Well, for Cologne, Suntaras isn't there. Some personal issues or whatever comes out about that. Mongols. Okay, Mongols certainly did something incredible at the major, making it to the grand final. And I'm not going to say that the Mongols can't perform well against a team like Vitality, because we've seen them not just once, but multiple times perform very well against them. So EPL, they took a map off them. I think one went to, they won it in overtime. Then they got dominated on the Inferno. Melbourne was 2-0. Again, a semi-final game. This was a group stage game. So even on a group stage game, it's not perfect from Mongols. And then obviously the one we'll remember most here is from the Austin Major Grand Final. They start off by winning Mirage, but then they lose on Dust 2 pretty heavily and Inferno. And Inferno wasn't looking that great at the Major for Vitality. So I'm going to say this team can always, as in the Mongols, can always be a challenger to Vitality, potentially take a map, but it's still missing some little details. I don't think the Mongols are changing players. Not heard anything about that. They've got an academy team now they're building for potential changes for the future. But I don't think that there needs to be any worries here for Vitality about Mongols. It's a team that they have to change the way they play a little bit in terms of style. They know what to expect from the Mongols, but it's not one that I think is a threat if I compare it to the Spirits or the Falcons or the Mouse. Then Na'Vi, obviously Makazi's now come into the team. JL's benched himself. I would love to tell you that Na'Vi's going to do something crazy here and be able to challenge Vitality. It was actually a great game on the major between Na'Vi and Vitality, even though it was a 2-0. If you look back at that game, both maps were winnable for Na'Vi. They should have been able to take at least one map. They threw some things away. Makazi is going to do very well coming into this team and this system. And I think you'll actually see Imma perform better in this position as well. But I am a bit worried about, we've seen some of the clips of Makazi that he can maybe be a bit of a rager or tilt a bit or a bit toxic, people are saying. Blade won't allow that to happen, especially for a new player. And if some people on Na'Vi, maybe Alexi, looks after him, takes him under their wing a bit and teaches him as well, then there's potential. But like, look at all the other teams I could possibly list here. FaZe, Symbol's gone. Brokey's come back in. Maybe Brokey comes in refreshed. Maybe Carrigan's able to do something with that, but that's still the same FaZe we've had in the previous season. Furia, Yakinda, and Molodoi, it's definitely a team that's leveling up, but this is not a team that can challenge against the likes of Vitality. They even lost to Pain. G2, obviously Hunter's now IGL. They're targeting Matties from Fnatic. It's not announced yet, but I believe that's going to be the player they get because he's just gone away from Fnatic. That's confirmed. And then they're going to have some Pius as the AWPer. That's not a team that can challenge Vitality. Heroic, which is now a Swedish Heroic. Nilo's back as well. I don't see, like, looking down this list, Liquid's not making any changes. Like, looking at this top list, we just go through the top 30 list. There's no other teams that can challenge this Vitality right now. And this is where it's going to get a bit crazy, because I would love to tell you, yeah, Vitality going to have some hard games. And how I will end this video on who can stop Vitality, guess what? It's Vitality. Vitality could stop themselves, because I don't care what analysts say. I'm not an analyst, but people have to look at this. The draining, the stress, the travel, the mental, all the things that come into this. It is so hard when you've lifted 7 trophies in a row. You've been on this road. Now they've had a break. Yeah, great. They've got some time to reset. But Apex now, we've seen the videos. Oh, by the way, if you haven't, go on the Vitality CS YouTube channel and watch some of these clips where Vitality is in, Apex is inspiring the players of Vitality so well, giving so much confidence to them, telling them what he wants for them. And if he can keep that somehow and keep them all so motivated to not just dominate like they did this year, but keep going. If they go and win Cologne, and that'd be back-to-back Colognes for Vitality, by the way. Now another one with Rops. Last one was with Spinks, obviously. That would be wild. Katowice, Cologne, and the Major. But for me, honestly, the only team Vitality can lose to is themselves. If they come with the same attitude, the same key preparation, and being ready for these big events and these moments, and being able to fight back even when they lose a map or they get beaten down. The great thing about this Vitality is we see them lose terribly, like they did on Mirage against Mongols, and then snap, they're back in it. They're fighting. They don't give up. They're not, oh, we lost this map. They just ignore it. They go to the next one. And that is so impressive that many teams cannot reset like that. And that's why, even with the changes all these teams are making to beat Vitality and to try and improve their teams, they're still probably, in my eyes, going to be coming second place to them. So who can beat Vitality? I gave you the order. I think it could be Spirit first with the most potential at the beginning of the season. That will change to Falcons as Kyosuke gets more used to playing at this level and into these kind of events and games and also English language for him as well. I've spoken to him. I've done an interview with him. His English is okay, but it's not great. He's going to need some help from Munacy in there, for example. It's going to be Spirit at the beginning that can probably challenge the most. Then it's Falcons, and Falcons later on throughout the year should grow. Mouse as well. It's all going to come down to what they change up strategically and preparation-wise and how that might work out for them. But overall, this looks like Vitality can continue their dominance, go for an 8th trophy at Cologne, and potentially, if they really want it, how bad do they want it? How much do they want it? They could push forward and through and go even further than we've ever seen any team do in the history of Counter-Strike, which they're already breaking records. So people might have come to this video and said, oh, Banks is going to tell us who's going to be able to beat them. This is just my opinion. This is what I think so far from what we've seen. Maybe some more roster moves, some changes will come out. The season has not started just yet, but we could be in for a wild Vitality era ride. We'll wait and see. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video, guys.